my table quite crowded because we're talking about ice cream makers, and there are so many available. Basically, you could say there's 4 different types. I don't even have on this table the classic ice cream maker where you use ice cubes, salt, and you crank. This is the kind of way they made ice cream in the 1920s. But here is the top of the line. I love this little baby. It's big, it's expensive, it's heavy, weighs 30 pounds. But this particular one not only has the regular liner and dasher, but there is a built-in freezer. So you mix up your ice cream mix, you get it cool and pour it in there, press the button, you set the timer, and you don't have to do anything else. It makes ice cream. It makes very good ice cream. But again, it's heavy, 30 pounds, big, and expensive. Now, the next kind of machine that doesn't have a built-in freezer has a unit that you freeze. Inside of each of these, there is a liner. You put it into your freezer. The dasher and the mixer are the same, but this has liquid in it. You put it in your freezer, it gets hard. Now this one, you have to crank by hand. You have your mixture. Basically, traditional ice cream is sugar, vanilla, cream, and milk, and that's it. Vanilla? Did I say vanilla? So then you crank it. The idea of an ice cream maker is that as it's freezing, the cream and milk form ice crystals. And by turning the dasher, it's disrupting the formation of ice crystals, and you get that smooth flavor. Not the crunchy kind of thing you get in a popsicle. It's very important that it must be stirred while it's freezing to prevent the ice crystals. This one, as I said, you don't have to do it constantly. You can, like every 30 seconds or so, especially later on, maybe a little bit more. But it's fun for kids. Very actually low tech, you just freeze it ahead of time. Then of course there's many makers that have a motor in it. You freeze the liner, you pour into your ingredients, turn it on, and pretty soon you got ice cream. This is a fancier one because you put the ingredient, you freeze again the liner first, put your ingredients in here, turn it on, and we'll actually dispense it. And it has a special place where you can press the button, and as it's dispensing it, it will add whatever kind of sugar or coating or sprinkles that you want to. So it's a little bit like going to a fancy restaurant where you get to make your own soft serve cones. I'm not particularly fond of this one because I find it very difficult to get exactly the right temperature where it will still come out. Either sometimes it's too soft or too hard. So I find this very tricky. So now we talked about the ice and salt, that was number 1. The automatic with everything is number 2. The liner with either hand or electric is number 3. And very popular now are these machines, which we talked about earlier, that just, you freeze the ingredients that you want. Bananas, strawberries, this particular is coconut yogurt. All of these machines I bought at thrift stores. One of the reasons being people buy them and they decide it's just so much easier to buy ice cream. But if you have special dietary needs, if you want vegan, if you don't want extra salt, if you want only fruit and no dairy, that's probably the best reason to make your own ice cream, besides the cost. The vegan varieties, or the gluten-free and the otherwise, plain ice cream that you buy in a bucket will be about, depending on if it's on sale, 6 cents an ounce. The specialty ones, whether it's high protein or mango vegan, those come out at about 50 cents an ounce, almost 10 times the price. I like to actually combine parts of this with parts of this, and I'll tell you why. When this was frozen, you could actually see ice crystals in here if you looked really close. And when you put them through this machine, it breaks up the ice crystals and it gets somewhat smoother, but there are still ice cubes in here. I'm putting in my banana strawberry, my mango. If it's the right consistency to go through easily, it has to be kind of soft. But if you have one of these at home and you haven't liked the way it's worked, think about this. This is one of those freezable bowls that you put in your freezer and get it very, very cold, and you put it underneath there. Okay. The disadvantage of these is that they are loud. In fact, if you're putting your head right next to it, you really need these. It's very soft now, but when I have put it into this freezer bowl, instead of getting even softer and more runny, it's now getting thicker. And because you're doing with this spatula what this will do as it's freezing harder, you're getting some of those crystals out of there. If you really like your store-bought ice cream and you want it as smooth as that, one of the best things to do is run this mixture through the machine twice. Now I can do that because of the fact that I've used the freezer bowl. If it were turning into basically milk, I'd have a really hard time doing that. This was the original. This brilliant lady invented this machine. I happen to like this machine a little bit better because of the fact that you can tell how the size of the pusher tube, that this one is smaller, so I have more room for this big one, plus the fact that this has this tray, so that if you want to feed ingredients through it a second time to get it even smoother, this makes it much easier. Now it's going to actually come through faster because it was broken up once already. This is still a very good machine. The original. So if you freeze and blend, and then let the person who's going to be eating the ice cream continue to do the final blending, if you're making that transition, that your family really loves that creamy ice cream, now is the time where this was a blend of coconut, mango, strawberry, and bananas. You could pour in a small amount of whipping cream. You give them a spoon and you let them make their own ice cream. Now this particular bowl was actually designed to make ice cream from the beginning. You freeze the bowl, you pour it in, and you stir it, and pretty soon you have ice cream. However, because we've taken the frozen fruit, run it through the machine so it's almost frozen immediately, it takes 1/3 of the time to actually come up with the ice cream by doing these steps. Both of these machines are very easy to clean, which is so important. But as with any kind of machine, like a blender or whatever, you want to be sure that when you take it apart to clean it, you look for the washers. This machine has 2 washers, and you can get things underneath there, and if you don't take them apart, you won't get it clean. This is a silicone washer, not a real easy, but it's really not too hard either. So you must remove this washer when you wash it, otherwise small amounts get down underneath there. I'm just going to stick that right into up there. And you must remove this washer when you clean this. These parts, not the machine, can go in the dishwasher. This one comes apart the same way. You turn it sideways. Take that out first. You follow the unlock thing, and this comes apart. And this also has a gasket. So if you think you might like enjoying mixed specialty ice cream with unique flavors and unique qualities like vegan or paleo, you can do that with these machines. I would suggest you check out thrift stores and try it with a low cost before you invest a lot of money in some of these machines. But they are fun, and you can come up with a wonderful, tasty, delicious, healthy treat in the end.